So in this episode of Vikings, we have Ragnar and company and Athelstan returning from Wessex, and we have this interesting conversation between both Ragnar and Athelstan, in which Athelstan talks about more, about Paris, because Paris says to Ragnar, "I already told you about this like numerous times." Paris is like, "Tell me." Ragnar's like, "Well, tell me again." That trademark smile. So Athelstan tells him that the city is made of marble. It has like two long, um, huge walls. He even admitted to himself. He even admitted that he went there as a monk, obviously, and he was tempted to break his vows of celibacy. And Rana, and he also, due to the beautiful women, the Rana's like, you didn't mention the beautiful women, And during this whole thing, you have Floki just envious, looking on, just like, look at them, talking like a bunch of children. Then after that, you have this interesting thing which Ragnar says that I wish I didn't have to come back. I wouldn't have come back if it wasn't for my children. And then you have Athelstan saying, well, at least you have children. you know? So I think when Athelstan said that, it was sort of a reminder, of sort of his love at this point for Judith. Because obvious he loves her, I guess he wants children with her, but, due to some circumstances. So we come back, back to Kattegat, and you see Queen Aslog pretty much at this point in time, like how I'm swimming right now. That's exactly how she was swimming. She's coming up the docks and shit. She's all like, "Oh shit, how am I gonna tell Ragnar and company that Siggy died because I was out getting smashed to bits by the King of Swing, Hobbit?" So yeah, so she's coming, and you have Rollo yelling out, "Siggy, Siggy," and you have Aslog pretty much saying that Siggy drowned, saving Vitzerk and Uba. So Ragnar, with one of his best crazy looks, intense looks, he's pissed. And he's like, really? Like, really? And then Rollo's like, you must be mistaken, the god must be mistaken? And Floki's like, the gods are never mistaken, Rollo. Then Ragnar gets that look like, dude, it's not the right time for this fucking obsession with the gods. You have Rollo slowly starting to accept. He's like, it was my fault. And then Ragnar's like, Rollo. He's like, no, all of you know, I treated her horribly. And then you just see him walking, just walking away. Yeah, and you have Ragnar, before just pretty much saying to Aslog, why was Siggy looking after the children? But before he gets more in detail about that, he's going after Rollo. He's like, Rollo. You just feel the scene was just really like painful, man. Especially when Ragnar couldn't find Rollo. It just adds more to the pain, when you see Aslog coming and Ragnar's all asking, continuing the question, about what had happened. And Helga's trying to defend her, and Ragnar's like, listen, no offense, Helga, but I'm asking her, not you. So after that, you have pretty much Lagatha tending to the wounded, and you have both Thorstein's two women who he impregnated asking where's Thorstein's at, and yes, where Thorstein's at, and Lagatha's like, both of you are pregnant, and after that, she's like, he's in Valhalla, those, and the two women are visibly like, kind of shook by this news. So we have this scene later in Kattegat. Again, no. This scene before. I'm gonna talk about this shit. Bjorn versus Rollo. So you have Rollo getting fucking drunk as shit, and he's like asking for one more, whatever, and everyone's like, "Oh yeah, drink, come on, drink." And then you have at some point or another them saying, a few of them saying, you think you had it harder than we do? We lost sons, cousins, uncles, all that shit. Your pain is no greater than ours, whatever. So at one point you have Rollo saying, yo, I'll fight you all. And you can tell at the point Rollo can barely walk, okay? Rollo has a death wish. Thankfully, Bjorn comes in the picture, and he's able to punch a few people off Rollo, and Rollo likewise. But Bjorn's telling Rollo, listen, man, use your fucking head. These people are going to fucking kill you. Stop it. And then Rollo pretty much tells Bjorn, listen, if you don't get off me and let me do what I want to do, I will kill you. So they're fighting and shit, and it's really fucking brutal, just straight brawl slash street fight. And Bjorn is holding his own against Rolo, but Rolo, who I consider the best fighter on the show, he's still giving Bjorn the business, you know. And there's one point when she throws Bjorn and sort of pushes him with his head down, with his hand in disrespect. Bjorn had that Ragnar look. Bjorn was like, "Fuck this shit." This is when Bjorn, after Rolo turned his back, he just jumped on Rolo, and he was just going boom, bah. It was fucking epic. I almost thought this was Goku versus Frieza all over again. And then you have this really cool scene in which they're on their knees, they're just exchanging blows, whatever. And then Bjorn's getting the better of them, and then Bjorn just going to town. And then at some point, Rolo just finish it, because Rolo's like, he can't go anymore. And then Bjorn just, bow, one good shot straight to the forehead, and Rolo, falls down. You have the others saying, kill him, and then you have Rolo pretty much crying, man, because it feels as though it's his way of punishing himself for his treatment of Siggy. And he sort of just walks away lonely, in the rain. And Bjorn just looking, he's pissed off at his uncle, but he can understand where he's coming from, and he's feel bad for what had transpired. So we have, after that, this interesting scene with Floki and Lagatha and Helga and Athelstan. And Floki pretty much says, he doesn't trust the Christians, that Athelstan's a part of them, and he says he doesn't understand why Ragnar trusted him so much. And Athelstan's like, you know what? I don't understand why Ragnar trusted me so much. He can always listen to you, Floki. Athelstan's the king of comebacks. So yeah, so he says goodnight to all of them. May Thor be with them, whatever. And he bounces. Then Floki does his traditional, shit like that. So after that, they see Bjorn come, back. His face is still at least good, at least this part of his face was kind of fucked up from the fight. And he mentions that he fought Rolo. And Floki's like, you fought Rolo? You held your own and defeated Rolo? You mean arguably the greatest fighter in all Scandinavia and shit, in Kattegat? And then Lagatha mentions the fact that Bjorn's, that Pearl needs him. And Bjorn's like, listen, she's a grown-ass woman. If she wants me, she can come get me. You know what I mean? She's not a child. And then he leaves. He says, good night. So after that, Lagatha bounces, and we have Helga telling Floki the truth, even though she says it's not her place to say it, saying that she was visited by this strange man who, whose hands were all fucked up and shit, that took away Ivar's pain. And you have Floki pretty much saying that he's a god. You know what I mean? So it's that he's a god, that when gods come to the village, that's a sign, that's a good thing. And he says, I will tell Ragnar, since that is my place. He does his traditional, laugh, the Floki laugh, So yeah, this is part 1, of my review of this episode. Part 2 in a little bit, and hopefully, I can get me a towel.